This map right here shows a bunch of the different religions in the original 13 colonies. Now, I think this is really fascinating because a big part of the reason why a lot of people wanted to come to the Americas was for religious freedom. Now, this wasn't always the case, and it really kind of depends. Like New England, it was far more religious freedom determined rather than the other ones where they wanted to make more money. And this is kind of the split between the country that ended up in the Civil War. Were we the descendants of Jamestown that wanted slaves, or were we the descendants of Plymouth that wanted freedom? Well, in a lot of these places, you didn't actually have a whole lot of religious freedom. The Puritans, for example, they really wanted religious freedom for themselves, but not so much for other people. And it wasn't until time went on, and especially once they had to deal with all these different groups within the original 13 colonies, that they're like, actually, religious freedom sounds pretty important. We would really like that. But the country really was about freedom, maybe in a freedom in different ways, whether it was economic freedom, like many of the other states were more directly economic freedom rather than religious freedom, because you have to remember at the time, I mean, England was a little bit better than many of the other countries in Europe, but they still didn't have a whole lot of freedom. Nobody really had the ability to determine their own destiny. And that was a big driver for these people to want to come over to the New World, because you could make your own decisions. You could hunt your own animals. You weren't allowed to hunt in England, basically. It was almost impossible to be able to go out and get your own food. And so even being able to have just that one freedom was extremely important, let alone the more important values of religious freedom.